Jungkook's anger flared as he confronted Wine in the sterile hospital corridor. Jungkook, yeah, how could you do that, Wine? How can you be so careless? You broke my trust. I thought you considered Unni as your own sister, but Wine, her eyes filled with worry, pleaded. Jungkook, please listen to me. You are misunderstanding me. Jungkook, raising his voice. Oh really? Why? Tell me that you didn't know she was taking drugs. Tell me. Whined nervously. Yeah, but Jungkook, cutting her off with a shout. Shut up, Wine. Just shut up. If you knew this, and if you really wanted her good, then you should have told me before. But you just let her take drugs. Jungkook's accusation cut through the air, blaming Wine for his sister's condition. Jungkook, you are the cause of my sister's condition. You are responsible for everything. She tried to commit suicide only because of you. Tears welled up in Wine's eyes as she tried to explain. Jungkook, with a loud shout, leave Wine. Wine desperate. But Jungkook, Jungkook's voice thundered. I said leave! Don't show me your face again! Wine, with a shocked expression and tears streaming down her face, watched as Jungkook stormed away. Once he left, she remained, her world crumbling around her. Jungkook headed to the hospital room where his sister was admitted, carrying the weight of the emotional storm that engulfed them all. You left from there and you were really feeling hurt and heartbroken because he didn't trusted you. He didn't even listen to you. You left from your home where you used to live before, and you don't live with your parents as they live in another city. You sat on the floor crying and crying. You wanted to tell him something important, but Wine's POV. Why, Jungkook? Why can't you trust me? I thought no matter what the situation was, you will always be with me. You will always trust me. I didn't expect it from anybody but you, that you will stay by my side and support me, understand me. But you started crying more. Your eyes and face turned red. Wine POV. I know you love your sister so much, but you should have at least listened to me, Jungkook. In the hospital room, Luna, Jungkook's sister, weakly opened her eyes to find her parents and Jungkook by her side. Jungkook visibly worried. How are you, Unni? Are you feeling better? Luna managed a weak smile. Yes, Jungkook, I'm totally fine now. Jungkook sighed in relief, but Mrs. John had questions. Mrs. John, daughter, why were you taking drugs? Luna looked down, hesitant. Jungkook explained with concern. Jungkook, Mom, it's because she was depressed, devastated by her recent breakup. It hit her hard. Mrs. John concerned. Depressed? Why? Jungkook, because she was deeply invested in that relationship, but it didn't work out. Mr. John looking at Luna. Still, that doesn't mean you should try to end your life. Life has ups and downs, Luna. We need to learn to survive these situations. Giving up is not the solution. Jungkook nodded. Jungkook, yes, Unni, you did wrong. How can you do that? Didn't you once thought about us? Luna, I know I did wrong. Please forgive me. I realized my mistake. Jungkook, yeah, good. And please now take care. You are getting discharged. Mr. John, this early? I mean, don't she need any medications? She is still looking weak. Luna smiled. Dad, I'm fine. Jungkook, yes, and we came here yesterday evening, and now it's afternoon, Dad. Mrs. John, yeah, go Jungkook. Complete the formalities and let's take our daughter home. She smiled. Jungkook nodded and he was about to go when Luna spoke. Luna, Jungkook, where is Wine? Jungkook looked back at her. Luna worried. Speak, Jungkook. Where is my sister-in-law? Jungkook, actually, Unni, she had some important work in office, so she left. Luna nodded. When Mr. and Mrs. John looked at Jungkook worriedly, but didn't spoke anything. Jungkook went outside and completed all the formalities when Mr. John came to him. Mr. John, Jungkook? Jungkook looked at him. Mr. John, where is wine? I know that she didn't went to office because she will never leave Luna in this condition. Jungkook looked down and then at Mr. John. Jungkook, actually dad, I told her to leave. Mr. John worried. But why? Jungkook, what why dad? Don't you know that because of her, Unni was in this condition? She should have told us about Unni that she is taking drugs, but Mr. John placed his hand on his forehead and looked at Jungkook in disbelief. Mr. John, Jungkook, you... Mr. John sighed heavily. Mr. John, I really hope you don't regret. When Luna and Mrs. John came and all went to home, Jungkook went to his room and locked the door. He sat on the floor supporting his back with the bed where he looked at your picture hanging on the wall and tears welled up in his eyes. Jungkook's POV echoed with confusion and hurt. Jungkook POV. Why wine? I thought you loved me, trusted me, but you didn't tell me about my Unni's condition. You left her to die. Why? Why Unni loves you so much, but still you did that? Jungkook sighed, grappling with the emotions turmoil within him. Just then, a knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. He quickly wiped away his tears and went to unlock the door. Opening it, he found Mrs. John standing there. She entered and closed the door behind her. Jungkook, what happened, Mom? Mrs. John, concerned. Yeah, Jungkook, I also want to ask you. What happened to you, huh? Jungkook looked at her, his confusion mirroring her. Mrs. John, concerned and disappointed, confronted Jungkook about his recent actions. Mrs. John, you were not like this, Jungkook. What happened to you? I thought you loved wine, but... Jungkook confused. Mom, what are you saying? Mrs. John, your dad told me that you told her to leave. How can you do that, Jungkook? She is the part of our family. She has all the rights to stay with us, to take a stand for her family members. Jungkook, but she didn't take any stand, Mom. That is the problem. Mrs. John, did you listen to her? Jungkook looked at her and then turned his gaze down. Mrs. John, don't you know why? Will she ever try to hurt Unni or anybody? Will she? Jungkook looked at her, the weight of realization settling in. Mrs. John's words cut through Jungkook's defenses, each one delivering a heavy blow to his conscience. Mrs. John, we all know that she is a kind-hearted and caring girl, but when she needed you, your support, your trust, your understanding, you left her alone? Is this your love, Jungkook? Every girl expects that her husband, her love, will understand her, support her and stay by her side, no matter what. But what did you do? You left her alone? You didn't even listen to her. Wow, Jungkook, very nice. The weight of guilt settled on Jungkook's shoulder as he realized the gravity of his mistake. Mrs. John disappointed. You know, I used to feel proud that you are my son. I felt blessed that my son is so smart and mature, knowing how to handle every situation. And when I saw your love for wine, I thought every girl deserves a man like Jungkook, caring, loving, supporting and understanding. But today, you've proved me wrong, my son. Tears welled up in Jungkook's eyes as Mrs. John left. He lay on the floor, crying bitterly, haunted by a sudden flashback. In the vivid flashback, Jungkook's heartfelt word echoed through time. Jungkook smiling. I love you so much, Wine. Wine smiling back. I love you more, Jungkook. Jungkook. I love you more than anything. You are my world, Wine. Only you are in my heart. Wine with sincerity. And you are my heart. I can't live without you. The day you leave me would be my last day on this earth. Jungkook chuckled, attempting to lighten the mood. Jungkook, alright, let's end these cheesy lines now. Wine serious but smiling. But mark my words, Jungkook, the day you will leave me, Jungkook quickly covered her mouth with his palm. Jungkook, I know, and I will never leave you. Even if you try to push me away, I will always stay by your side and we will live together, enjoying our journey together. The warmth of that memory now contrasted sharply with the cold reality of the present. In the present time, tears streamed down Jungkook's face as the weight of your words echoed in his mind. I will die the day you leave me. His heart raced, propelled by a newfound urgency. Grabbing his car keys, he hastily made his way outside. Running downstairs, he encountered Mr. Jeon's inquiry. Mr. Jeon, where are you going in such a hurry? Jungkook, I have some important work. He hurriedly left, leaving Mr. Jeon to exchange a knowing look with Mrs. Jeon. Mrs. Jeon smiling. I know his important work. Mr. Jeon also smiling. Yeah, I know too. I am happy that he realized his mistake early. Mrs. Jeon nodded, a shared understanding passing between them. On the other hand, Wine POV. I should tell him the truth. I don't care now. I should tell him the truth. It's really important for him to know, or else you quickly picked your car keys and went outside. You both were on your way while Jungkook was really feeling uneasy as your words were coming in his mind. Jungkook in mind. I'm sorry, Wine. Please, God keep her safe. Please, I'm not having a good feeling. Worry etched on his face, Jungkook started to sweat, consumed by the fear of what might unfold. Meanwhile, Wine remained resolute, determined to lay bare the truth that weighed heavily on her conscience. Wine, I know he is angry on me, but this is important. I don't even know that he will believe me or not, but I should keep my ego aside and tell him the truth. There is no ego in love. Wine POV. I was driving when I saw a car behind me. It was stalking me when I came outside of my apartment. It was standing there, but when I started driving, it is following me. I am now feeling scared. I should reach to Jungkook as soon as possible. Where is my phone? I should call him. I picked my phone and called him while driving, but he was not picking my phone. Why? Yeah, please, Jungkook, pick my call, please. I was calling him continuously, but he was not picking up my calls. When I saw a car stopped in front of me. Vine's POV. I quickly stopped my car when I saw some men wearing black coming out of it. I decided to go back, but behind me there was that car standing from where two men came outside. They were all wearing black masks and they were holding guns. The road was all silent. I was really getting so afraid, but I continuously calling him, but he was not picking up my calls. I locked all the doors of my car when a guy holding a rod came in front of my car and he broke the front mirror of the car. While other men were surrounding my car, I was sweating so bad I thought that it is my last day when they all targeted their gun in my direction. Author's POV. All the men suddenly started shooting. Wine was shot at the head, arm, stomach, chest. When all the men went inside their car and went from there, Wine was laying dead, covered with blood inside the car. On the other hand, Jungkook was feeling so uneasy, he was getting so worried when he saw Wine's car in between the road. His heart raced so much fast when he saw the car all broken. He quickly went outside the car and ran in your car's direction, but his heart almost stopped when he saw you laying dead covered with blood. He was feeling his world shattered. Tears streaming down, he quickly opened the car door and pulled you outside the car and picked you. He was holding you tightly. Jungkook's heart shattered as he reached Wine's lifeless body. Tears streamed down his face uncontrollably and he clutched her tightly against his chest, as if trying to breathe life back into her. Jungkook whispering through choked sobs. Wine, no, please no, wake up. It can't end like this. You can't leave me. Not like this. I love you so much. I'm sorry, Wine. I should have trusted you. Please open your eyes. Don't leave me alone in this darkness. He rocked back and forth, cradling Wine's lifeless form, his voice trembling with heartbreak and guilt. His world had collapsed in an instant, and he felt an overwhelming sense of despair and loss. In a desperate attempt to salvage any hope, Jungkook laid Wyan's lifeless body in the car and raced to the hospital. In a desperate attempt to salvage any hope, Jungkook laid Wyan's lifeless body in the car and raced to the hospital. The doctors, however, delivered a devastating conclusion. Wyan was dead. His heart, already shattered, crumbled into irreparable pieces. He cried uncontrollably, the weight of the doctor's word intensifying the storm of emotions within him. In the sterile hospital corridors, his cries echoed a haunting symphony of anguish and loss that seemed to reverberate endlessly. Realizing he needed to inform his parents, Jungkook sought his phone only to realize he had left it in the room. With a heavy heart, he called his mom using the reception phone, each word carrying the weight of unbearable news. Jungkook, struggling to speak through his sobs, called his mom. Jungkook, hello, mom? Mrs. John's heart raced, sensing the distress in Jungkook's voice. Mrs. John worried. Jungkook, son, what happened? Why are you crying? Jungkook couldn't utter a word, overcome with intense sorrow. Mrs. John, Jungkook, tell me, where are you? Before Jungkook could respond, he fainted, leaving Mrs. John frantic. Mrs. John shouting, Jungkook, can you hear me? Jungkook. The receptionist, witnessing Jungkook's collapse, picked up the phone. Receptionist, hello? Mrs. John, hello? Who are you? And where is my son? Receptionist, please come to City Hospital, ma'am. Your son is here and he just fainted. Mrs. John, increasingly worried. Hospital? Alright, I'm coming. Mr. John, now concerned, approached Mrs. John. Mr. John, what happened? Why are you so worried? Mrs. John, worried. We need to go to the hospital. Mr. John, worried and shocked. But why? What happened? Mrs. John, I don't know anything. We just need to go and see. They rushed to the hospital in the night. Upon entering, they inquired about Jungkook and headed to the room where he lay, unaware of the heartbreaking news awaiting them. Mr. and Mrs. John's heart clenched with dread upon seeing Jungkook's blood-stained shirt. Mrs. John rushing towards him and crying, What happened to my son? Why is he covered with blood? Doctor, nothing happened to him, ma'am. He just fainted. He was crying so badly and I guess he was really in shock. The tears overwhelmed him to the point of fainting, but he is perfectly fine. Mr. John, shock? What shock? And whose blood is this then? And what is he doing here? Mrs. John, wait. Wine? Where is Wine? He went to meet Wine. As Jungkook opened his eyes, he found Mr. and Mrs. John in front of him. Jungkook, restless, worried. Wine, Wine. He started crying and Mrs. John hugged him to console him. Mrs. John, Jungkook, calm down. Everything is fine. What happened? When Jungkook broke the hug, he rushed outside with Dr. Mr. and Mrs. John following him. Jungkook reached the room where Wine's lifeless body lay, and the weight of reality hit him once again. Mr. and Mrs. John's heart clenched with anguish as they witnessed Wine's lifeless form covered in blood. Tears streamed down their face. Mrs. John, what happened to her? Wine? Mr. John, shocked, held Mrs. John tightly. Mrs. John crying, Honey, what happened to her? Why is she lying like this? Please do something. She pressed her eyes tightly, trying to control her tears, while Mr. John held her tightly. Jungkook, devastated, sat beside Wine, crying as he looked at her face. He took a handkerchief from his pocket and gently started wiping her face, stained with blood. Mr. and Mrs. John couldn't hold back their own tears, witnessing Jungkook's heartbreaking state. Despite the grim reality, Jungkook held on to the hope that Wine would somehow wake up. With trembling hands, he tenderly wiped the blood from your lifeless face, a silent plea in his eyes. The sterile, hostile atmosphere of the hospital room contrasted sharply with the warmth that once radiated from your presence. His desperate whispers filled the air, a fervent plea for you to wake up and shatter the nightmare that had engulfed his world. The room echoed with his heart-wrenching cries, as if trying to awaken you from an endless slumber. Yet the stillness persisted, and the reality of your lifeless form remained, casting a shadow over the agonizing scene. The day of Vine's funeral arrived, a somber occasion that cast a pall of sorrow over everyone in attendance. The grey skies seemed to mourn along with them, as if the heavens themselves were shedding tears for their loss. Jungkook, Mrs. John, Mr. John, and Luna stood by Vine's casket, their heart heavy with grief. Jungkook's tear flowed unabatedly, his face etched with pain and guilt. Jungkook whispering to Vine's casket, "I am sorry, Vine. I wish I could turn back time and change everything. I love you so much." The air was heavy with sorrow as they said their final goodbyes, each word carrying the weight of unspoken emotions. The grey skies mirrored the somberness of their heart, a pageant backdrop to the farewell of a love lost too soon. Mrs. John and Mr. John held each other tightly, their faces etched with deep sadness. They grieved not only for Vine, but also for their son, who carried the burden of regret. Mrs. John's voice trembling. "She brought so much joy into our lives, didn't she?" Mr. John. "Yes, she did. We were blessed to have known her." Luna stood nearby, her eyes swollen from crying. She felt the immense loss of her sister-in-law, her protector, and her confidence. Luna teary-eyed. "Vine, I wish I could have saved you. I should have been there for you." As the funeral service continued, a sudden hush fell over the gathering. Jungkook, lost in his thoughts, suddenly felt a presence beside him. He turned his head and, to his shock, saw Vine standing there, her spirit smiling at him. Jungkook stammering in disbelief. "Vine, is that you?" Vine's spirit nodded, her smile filled with warmth and forgiveness. Vine in spirit form. "Jungkook, there is no need to blame yourself. I forgave you a long time ago." Jungkook, his tears streaming down his face, reached out a trembling hand towards her, but his fingers passed through her ethereal form. Jungkook, voice breaking. "Vine, I love you. I'm so sorry for not trusting you." Vine's spirit gently kissed Jungkook's cheeks, and he felt a soothing warmth wash over him. Vine in spirit form. "I love you too, Jungkook. Let go of the guilt. Remember the love we shared." As quickly as she had appeared, Vine's spirit faded away, leaving Jungkook both stunned and comforted. He wiped away his tears, feeling a weight lifted from his heart. The funeral continued, but now there was a sense of closure and acceptance in the air. The John family, together with their friends and loved ones, bid their final farewell to Vine, carrying her memory in their hearts and the hope of a brighter tomorrow. After funeral, when he went to his room, he saw his phone, and when he checked it, he saw 20 missed calls from Vine. He felt so hurt and guilty that if he had picked her calls, then maybe she would be alive, maybe he could save her. When he was talking to himself, he saw Vine's spirit beside him. Jungkook was shocked and relieved. "Jungkook, are you really with me?" Vine nodded. Jungkook teary-eyed. But how?" Vine wiped his tears. "Because I can't live without you. You know na, Cookie?" She smiled. Jungkook warmly smiled and hugged her. Jungkook, "Why you left me, Vine? I know I'm a very bad person. I'm sorry. I didn't trusted you. I didn't listen to you. I'm sorry." His voice was breaking with tears and guilt when Vine broke the hug. Wine. It is past, Jungkook. I forgive you, so don't cry. It's hurting to see you crying. So please, for me, stop crying. Jungkook wiped his tears. Wine. I wanted to tell you something, Jungkook. Jungkook. Yeah, Wine. What's that? Tell me, in hospital also you wanted to tell me something, right? Wine. Yes, but now I am bounded. I can't tell you directly the truth. Jungkook. But why, Wine? Tell me now. Wine. You have to find out that. I will help you, but you have to find out. But that truth is related to my murder. Jungkook shocked. What? Wine. And that truth is related to our family. Jungkook was now more shocked. Jungkook. Our family? You mean someone in our family killed you? Wine sighed. Wine. I can't tell you everything, Jungkook. I want you to find out. But please, don't trust anyone. Nobody, neither your parents nor your sister. Jungkook's determination burned bright in his eyes as he nodded firmly. Jungkook. You will stay by my side, won't you? Wine's spirit gazed at him with a gentle smile. Wine. Yes, Jungkook. I will stay by your side until you uncover the truth. Jungkook couldn't help but ask with a hint of worry. But why can't you tell me everything now? Wine spirit. There are forces at play, Cookie. Some things are beyond even the realms of spirit. Trust your instincts and unravel the mystery. I believe in you. Jungkook. But after that? Wine. After that, I have to go, Jungkook. It's important. Jungkook's face fell, a pout forming on his lips. He was already dreading the moment when he would have to let Wine go. Jungkook. Can't we just live with me? Wine. Understanding his reluctance to part ways. Wine. It's not possible, Cookie. There are some rules of spirits, as I told earlier. He nodded sadly. Jungkook. But how will I find the truth, Wine? Wine reassured him with a warm smile. Trust your heart, Jungkook. The answer will reveal themselves when you least expect them. You are strong and I believe you can do it. Wine. I will help you every step of the way. Jungkook, don't worry. Just follow me and you will see the truth through your own eyes. With Wine's guidance and his determination to unravel the mystery, Jungkook embarked on a journey that would lead him to answer he sought, all while cherishing the moments he had with Wine's guiding spirit. As Jungkook and Wine continued to work together on unraveling the mystery behind her murder, a week passed. They diligently pursued leads and pieced together evidence, inching closer to the truth. In the Jeon household, there was an air of both hope and sorrow. Mr. Jeon speaking to Mrs. Jeon. Jungkook seems to be getting better, doesn't he? It feels like he's trying to move past the trauma. Mrs. Jeon. It's a relief to see our son finding some semblance of happiness again. But my dear, I must admit, I am still haunted by Wine's death and the fact that her murderers remain at large. Luna joined the conversation, her concern for Jungkook evident. Luna. Mom, I have spoken to the best detectives in the town and he is determined to find Wine's murderer. Mrs. John nodded, appreciating Luna's efforts. Luna. Do you know where Jungkook is? I feel like he is putting on a strong front for us, but he is truly struggling. Have you noticed? He used to leave his room unlocked, even when Wine was with him. But now, after her death, he locks himself in whenever he is in there. Mrs. John. Yes, Luna, I have noticed. Even during their arguments, he never locked himself in. Mr. John shared their concern for their son. Mr. John. I'm deeply worried about him. But I have to say, I admire his resilience in trying to overcome the trauma. Both Luna and Mrs. John nodded, grateful for their son's strength during such tiring time. Mr. John. Perhaps we should plan a getaway, a camping trip or a holiday. It might help lift our spirits. Jungkook could use a change of scenery. Luna. That's wonderful idea, Dad. I was actually thinking the same thing. Mrs. John agreed, but with Jungkook's well-being in mind. Mrs. John, let's discuss it with Jungkook first. We should not pressure him. He needs time. Mr. John and Luna nodded, understanding the delicate balance of helping their son heal while respecting his process. Jungkook returned home to find his family gathered in the lobby. Mr. John called out to him, concern evident in his voice. Mr. John, Jungkook, we are thinking of planning a trip. It might bring about a change and help you feel better. Mrs. John chimed in, her tone gentle and understanding. Mrs. John, if you think it's right time, Jungkook could sense the genuine concern in his family's eyes. Their desire to see him recover touched his heart. Jungkook, all right. Luna, Mr. John and Mrs. John exchanged happy glances, relieved to see Jungkook willing to give it a try. Later, as Jungkook entered his room, Wine's spirit appeared before him. Wine, Jungkook, don't go on this holiday. Jungkook was surprised by her request. Jungkook, why Wine? They are just trying to help. Wine, trust me Jungkook, it's not safe. Jungkook agreed, swayed by Wine's words. Jungkook, alright Wine, I won't go. He smiled, feeling a sense of connection with her presence. Just then there was a knock on his door and Luna entered. Luna, Jungkook, Mom said dinner is ready. Are you coming? Jungkook looked at Luna, his smile fading. Jungkook, I'm not hungry and I have changed my mind about the trip. I am sorry, Luna. Luna appeared surprised and concerned by his sudden change of heart. Luna, but why? You were okay with it earlier. Jungkook, things changed, Luna. I just don't feel like going anymore. Luna nodded, understanding that something had shifted in Jungkook's feelings. Luna, alright Jungkook, if you ever wanted to talk or need anything, just let me know. As she left his room, Jungkook's thoughts were consumed by the sense of foreboding Wine had shared with him. Jungkook and Wine had been working tirelessly to uncover the truth about Wine's murder. They searched everywhere, leaving no stone unturned, and finally their relentless efforts led them to a shocking discovery. One day they stumbled upon the unimaginable truth as he found out the murderers, and Jungkook couldn't believe his own words when he said, Jungkook, Luna, it's Luna. The shock of realization that his own sister Luna was behind this horrifying act left him devastated. He couldn't understand why she would do such a thing, and the motive remained a painful mystery, shattering Jungkook's heart. Jungkook had personally hired a detective to help in the investigation, and their hard work finally paid off. They found evidence that linked Luna to hired gunman who had taken Wine's life. The detective even managed to access messages on Mr. John, Mrs. John and Luna's phone, revealing incrimination evidence. Overflowing with a whirlwind of emotions, anger, sadness and betrayal, Jungkook decided to gather his family in the lobby. He intended to reveal everything before involving the police. Mr. John, Mrs. John and Luna assembled their faces, a mix of confusion and concern. Mr. John, Jungkook, what's going on? Why did you call us here like this? Jungkook could no longer contain the truth. Jungkook, I have found out who the murderer is. His eyes hung heavily in the air, plunging the room into silence. Mrs. John, who is this? Jungkook's gaze sharpened as he locked eyes with Luna, his voice trembling with anger and betrayal. Jungkook shouting, Luna! Shock and disbelief swept through the room, leaving even Luna herself stunned. Luna, what? Are you out of your mind, Jungkook? Jungkook's anger smoldered as he continued to confront his sister. Jungkook, yeah, I was out of my mind for trusting you. You killed Wine? What did she ever do to you? She loved you like a sister and you did this? Mr. John and Mrs. John struggled to process the shocking revelation, their words crumbling around them as they grappled with the harsh truth. Luna: Yes, I killed Wine, and I have fully planning to kill you, Jungkook. Jungkook was utterly shocked. Luna: You know what? I don't like you. Because of your mother, my mom died. She was really depressed after knowing that her husband loved someone else. That's why she died, and when I got to know, I decided to let your mother feel the same pain. Let your mother know how it feels when your closed ones leave you. Luna: Your mom was close with my dad and you. So I can't kill my dad, so I decided to kill you. But slowly I was planning for it, but on that day, Vine got to know about the drugs I consume. But I begged her to not to tell to anyone. She said that she will tell Jungkook, but I begged her and said that I will suicide if you will tell anybody. So she kept her mouth shut, but after 2 days, I was talking to my men to kill Jungkook, but she overheard me, and I quickly cut the call. Vine was so shocked and she was asking me why I am doing all this, but I said openly that I want to kill Jungkook. Do whatever you can do. So she was about to go to tell Jungkook, but I quickly took some strong drugs in front of her eyes and I fainted. Author's POV. And when Luna fell down, Vine was so worried and shocked. She immediately called Jungkook. When Jungkook came, picked her up and rushed to the hospital. And after that, we all know what happened. After that, Luna called those men and ordered them to kill Vine instead of Jungkook, as she knows everything now. Luna was stepsister of Jungkook, as Luna was just 5 years old when her mother died. So Mr. John married Mrs. John, and Mrs. John loved Luna as her own daughter even after Jungkook's birth. She loved both of them equally. Mr. John: Do you even know what you did, Luna? Mrs. John crying: You don't even know the truth, Luna. You were really small at that time. That's why you don't know what happened. You are just assuming things. You killed Vine. You wanted to kill Jungkook. Why? He loved you so much. He loved you as his own sister, but you? Mrs. John was crying when Mr. John hugged her. Mr. John: Let me tell you the truth, Luna. Your mom was sick. She was suffering from cancer. She knew that she can't survive much longer, so she gave your responsibility to Mrs. John, as Mrs. John was her best friend. Your mom took a promise from her to take care of you. So for the sake of you and your mom, Mrs. John have to marry me. And you tried to kill her own son? Luna was shocked. Jungkook was standing still like a statue as he was processing everything, but the loss he had suffered was unbearable. He lost his wife, his love of life, which was really terrible. Luna: I don't believe you. Mr. John: Then don't believe. You are not in your right state of mind. When police came and arrested her, Mr. John came near Jungkook. Mr. John: Jungkook, I can't even say that everything would be alright, but Luna was actually mentally upset after her mom's death. She was getting treatment from the psychologist, but her condition was getting worse, and I guess after her breakup, she really lost her control, and Jungkook went from there without saying anything. When he went back to his room, he saw Vine's spirit sitting on the bed, and she smiled while looking at Jungkook. Vine: Finally, you got to know about the truth, and I am happy now. Now my work is over. I have to leave now. Jungkook rushed to Vine and hugged her. Jungkook was crying so badly like a baby. Jungkook: I'm sorry, Vine. I'm sorry. Please, I was not able to save you. I'm sorry. Please don't leave me. I will die without you. Vine smiled. Yeah, baby, why are you crying? I am proud of you that you finally found out the truth. I love you so much, and we will meet in next life. Don't cry. Our love story will be completed in next life. So don't worry. And in next life, We both don't have to face much difficulties as our souls already love each other and they will make us fall in love with each other again. Jungkook, no Vine, please take me with you. I don't want to live a life without you. Vine, no Jungkook, you have to live. You have to live for your parents. How can you leave your old parents alone behind? Don't you love them, huh? And death is not the solution of everything. You have to live a long life and take care of mom, dad. You are the only son. And don't worry, I will wait for you and we will meet in next life. But for now, just focus on yourself and your parents. Alright? They did so many sacrifices now. It's your turn. You have to take care of them. And yes, you have to take care of yourself too. Jungkook looked at you and nodded while crying. Vine, promise me you will live a long life and take care of yourself too? Jungkook, I promise. Vine smiled and hugged him. Vine, goodbye Cookie. You started fading. Jungkook shouting and crying. No, Vine, please don't leave me. Please stay by my side, please. Jungkook, I promise Vine, I will cherish every moment we spend together. For as long as we live, I will love you forever, Vine. Even in death, our love will endure. As Vine's presence faded, Jungkook clung to the echoes of their love, his heart aching with the weight of loss. The room once filled with their shared laughter and warmth now echoed with the hollowness of solitude. Jungkook, left alone, whispered his promise into the silent space, a pledge to complete their love alive in every beat of his heart. Words have the power to linger long after they are spoken. Before parting ways, wonder if their presence vanished, would the echo of your last conversation bring solace or regret? Regret is a heavy burden. Cherish those you love with words of kindness. Every word we speak has the potential to shape destinies. Choose them wisely, for they may become the last echoes in someone's heart. I know you guys like happy ending, so wait for bonus part and I will upload it soon and there will be a happy ending. Subscribe to my channel please and press the bell icon to stay updated and share it with your friends. In the heart of the city where dreams and reality converged, Jungkook prepared to unveil his latest collection at the bustling gallery. The air was thick with anticipation and the vibrant strokes and canvas seemed to whisper tales of the timeless love. As the door swung open to the eager crowd, Vine found herself drawn to the gallery, her step guided by the unseen force. She entered the world where colors and emotions danced in the harmony. Jungkook, immersed in arranging his masterpieces, stole glances at the crowd. It was then that he saw her, a familiar stranger in the sea of faces, her eyes reflecting a curiosity that resonated with his soul. Their eyes locked and the spark of recognition flickered between them, echoing the depth of their history. Jungkook, unable to resist the pull, approached her. Jungkook with a charming smile. Hello miss, what brings you to this realm of colors and emotions? Vine. Well, are these your paintings? Jungkook lied. Well, no, I'm just here to help people to explore the exhibition. Should I lead you to the way and show you all the masterpieces? Vine nodding. Yeah, sure. Their laughter resonated like a sweet symphony and together they strolled through the exhibition as Jungkook, a storyteller with his paintings, began weaving tales with each piece. Jungkook pointing towards a painting. This one. It's about love transcending time. Do you believe in that kind of love? Vine gazing at the painting. I think such love exists, hidden in the threads of destiny, but the paintings are really weird. Jungkook looked at you and smiled, and after some time when his secretary came, Secretary, Sir, Mr. Jung wants to meet you. as she really liked your all paintings, so she wants to meet the artist. You looked at him in shocking confusion, and Jungkook gazed at you and then smiled and chuckled. Why, you are the artist? Jungkook nodding. Yes, miss, and thank you for all your reviews. He smiled when he saw your face, who was now feeling embarrassed as you really said weird to his paintings in front of him. Jungkook to his secretary. Alright, I am coming. Tell them to wait. Only one last painting is left, so let me show that to Miss. He looked at you. You. Wine. Kim Wine. Jungkook smiling. Yeah, Miss Wine. Let's go. Jungkook pointed towards a painting. This one's my favorite. It tells a story yet to unfold. Wine little embarrassed. What's the story then? Jungkook with a twinkle in his eyes. The story of us. Perhaps? You looked at him confused. Jungkook. Actually, I don't know why I made this painting. I was just sleeping when I saw a dream in which... You looked at him curious. Wine. In which? Jungkook sighed. In which a girl died and I was just crying and hugging her. So when I woke up, it was really a different and weird dream, but on that day, I thought to make a painting. And when I started painting, my mind was all blank of what to draw. But after some times, when my painting got completed, this was the result. And I believe that this story of mine, maybe that dream would be related to past or something. You looked at him confused. Jungkook chuckled. Just joking. I mean, I do believe in past life, but many people don't, so just leave it. Time skips after 1 week. You were getting ready as your parents told you that they have chosen a boy for you for wedding, so he and his parents were coming today. Vine thinking while getting ready. Yeah, why I am doing arranged wedding. And who is the boy? Whoever he will be. He must be so lucky to marry me. I mean, look at me. I am so beautiful and smart and cute and nice and so on. You chuckle while talking to yourself. Vine. Alright, I am ready. Let's see who that lucky boy is. You went downstairs and you reached down. You saw them sitting. But you got shocked and surprised by seeing Jungkook downstairs as he was also looking surprised. Wine in mind. Wait, what is he doing here? Jungkook thinking. Wait, is she the one I'm going to marry? Wow, wow, it's amazing. Mrs. John smiling. She is beautiful, really beautiful. Mr. John nodded and Mr. and Mrs. Kim smiled. When your sister smirked at you. Mrs. Kim. Wine, sit there. She pointed near Jungkook. You shyly sat near him as you were now really feeling shy. You are actually a very confident girl, but you don't know why. When you see Jungkook, you were really feeling so shy and nervous. Your both parents started talking about wedding and so on stuff. While you both were silently sitting there, you were just looking down while Jungkook was stealing glances at you. Mr. John looked at you both. So, do you both agree to marry? Mrs. John. Oh honey, what are you asking? Firstly, let them talk to each other and then we will ask. Mrs. Kim and Mr. Kim smiled. Mr. John. Alright, you both can talk. We are all silent now. Mrs. John chuckled. Mrs. John. Honey, will they talk in front of us? What are you doing? Mrs. and Mr. Kim laughed. Mr. John. I was just joking, honey. We have been married since 28 years and still you don't understand my jokes. Everybody chuckled. Mr. Kim. Wine, go and take Jungkook to your room and you both can talk. You nodded hesitantly and went to the room. You both sat on the bed while you were just silent when Jungkook spoke. Jungkook. Hi. Wine. Hello. Jungkook smiling. Nice to meet you again. Wine nervously. Nodding. Jungkook. Why are you getting so nervous? Wine nervous. No, I'm not. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, really? Then look at me. You were still hesitant and were looking down when Jungkook sat on the ground and started finding something while you were confused. Jungkook, where is it? What are you finding? Let me help you. Vine confused. Huh? Nothing. I'm not finding anything. Jungkook stood up and looked at you. Jungkook smiling. Really? Then why are you looking down? Look at me. My face is not that bad. You looked at him shyly. Jungkook, are you happy with this marriage? You shyly nodded and his smile widened. Jungkook, really? You like me? Vine nodding shyly. Yeah. Jungkook smiled. Acha, tell me, why you like me? Why you agree to marry me? You looked at him confused and then looked down. Vine, because you seem nice. Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, really? Nice. Vine, are you happy with this marriage? As you also want to know whether he is ready or not. Jungkook, yes, I am ready. I want to marry you. As I don't know why I like you, but still, whenever I see you, I felt my heart racing, and it's some different feeling I can't explain. Vine nodded. You felt so good how he confessed everything, and you were also feeling the same. You don't know why, you also feel attracted towards him, a strange connection. As they were about to go to join their parents, Jungkook, in a moment of clumsiness, slipped on the loose carpet and found himself falling. Vine, caught off guard, tried to steady him but ended up falling backward, taking Jungkook down with her. In that unexpected moment, as Jungkook and Vine found themselves tangled on the floor, their faces inches apart, time seemed to slow down. Vine's hand instinctively rested on Jungkook's chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. His warm breath brushed against her cheeks. For a fleeting second, the world around them disappeared, and all that remained were the shared glances, the closeness, and the unspoken connection. Vine's heart raced, not just from the fall, but from the magnetic pull of Jungkook's presence. Jungkook's eyes locked onto Vine's, and in that moment, a different kind of energy sparked between them. It was not just the laughter anymore, it was a quiet acknowledgement of something unspoken. The air was charged with a blend of surprise, nervousness, and a hint of something more. They both were in that position when your parents entered in the room, and their eyes widened. Mrs. Kim cleared her throat to let you know. When your eyes widened and you looked back and everyone standing. Vine, Jungkook, get up. Jungkook was just lost in your eyes and he didn't listen to anyone. Vine, Jungkook. By pushing him lightly from his chest, Jungkook came to his senses and looked around and quickly got up. Mr. John, you are really so fast. I mean, it's just a first meeting. Mrs. John hit his arm lightly. Mrs. John, what are you saying, honey? Your face was all red with blush and shyness. Jungkook, actually, it was just I slipped and I fall onto her. That's it. Please don't take us wrong. Mrs. Kim, why will you take you wrong? And we just came here because Lisa, your sister, told us to come here because she said that you guys are calling us. You looked at Lisa while she was smirking. You gave her death glares. Mrs. John, I guess we don't need to ask them now. As we got our answer, then let's arrange the wedding soon. Everybody smiled and nodded, while Jungkook was embarrassed but still happily smiling, and then everybody went downstairs, while you and Lisa were in your room. Vine death glaring. How dare you? Lisa, I will kill you. Now nobody can save you from me. I really felt so embarrassed. Lisa jumped on the bed. Why? What happened? Why are you shouting, huh? In front of Jungkook, you were just behaving so nice and shy, but see now, he should know you're this side too. And then for sure, he will not marry you. You also ran behind her, from couch to bed and again to the couch. You both were running and trying to catch her when you jumped on the phone, falling on the ground. You surprisingly looked at it and ignored it as it was an unknown mobile, and for you, catching your sister was more important at this time. When Jungkook entered, as he left his phone in your room and heard your conversation and saw your sibling banter, Jungkook smiling. Um, you surprisingly looked at him. Lisa smirking teasingly. Oh ho, brother-in-law, were you missing her? I mean, yeah, it's been almost 2 minutes since you didn't met her. You gave her death glares when Jungkook chuckled. Jungkook, actually, I just came to take my phone as I left it here. Your eyes widened as you realized that phone on which you jumped was his and its screen is almost cracked. Wine. I have some important work, so excuse me. You were trying to escape when Lisa stopped you. Lisa smirking. Yeah, Wine? Where are you going? Your fiancé is here and you are going? Firstly, give him his mobile so that you both can exchange your numbers. Wine. No problem. We will exchange them afterwards. Lisa. Oh, you are ignoring him now. It means your work is more important than him, right, my dear sister? You gave her death glares. Wine, shut your mouth and don't interfere in our matters, alright? Mind your own business. Jungkook looked at you and chuckled as now he saw your angry side also. Jungkook thinking, she looks cute even when she is angry. Lisa, see brother-in-law, she is so clumsy and she have huge anger issues too. How will you manage? Jungkook, I will not make her angry. Don't worry. You smiled. Lisa, oh really? And she don't even tolerate others' anger. What if you get angry? Because she can't bear someone shouting at her or being angry at her. Jungkook, I am very calm person, Lisa, and I don't get angry easily. So relax. You gave Lisa a proud smile after listening to his answer. Lisa, really? What if I tell you that she broke your mobile phone? Jungkook looked at you surprised. Jungkook, what? Lisa smirked. Lisa, yes, she jumped on it. Jungkook looked at you and you innocently gazed down. Lisa left from there and hid behind outside the room and was listening all your conversation. Jungkook noticed that you were getting little nervous and afraid, so he came towards you and cupped your face. Jungkook smiling. It's okay, Vine. It was just a phone. I will buy a new one. Vine looking down. I'm sorry, I didn't notice. I was just... Jungkook covered your mouth with his palm. Jungkook. I don't need explanation. I trust you. And don't worry. It was just a phone, so relax. You looked at him and smiled. Jungkook. Yes, you look more beautiful when you smile, so keep smiling. Don't be sad on anything. You felt so good and comforted by his words and you hugged him. You don't know why you hugged him and why you were so comfortable with him, but it was just a natural connection that you were being so comfortable with him, even with his touch, with his presence and everything. Jungkook was surprised, but he soon hugged you back as you both were getting attracted towards each other and feeling a little connection like you knew each other from so long. Lisa, wow, he's really calm. He didn't shout it at her. Nice. I qualify him for my sister. She smiled and went downstairs. As the wedding preparation continued, Vine and Jungkook found themselves spending more time together. They discovered shared interests, laughed over inside jokes, and gradually built a connection that went beyond the expectations of an arranged marriage. Their wedding day arrived, a celebration filled with joy and the promise of a new chapter. As they exchanged vows, there was a genuine warmth in their eyes, a reflection of growing affection they held for each other. In the days that followed, Vine and Jungkook navigated the initial phase of their married life. They supported each other's dreams, shared their fears, and found solace in the companionship they had unexpectedly grown to cherish. Their love story unfolded like a beautifully scripted tale with the moment of laughter, tears, and countless shared glances that spoke volumes. Vine's initial shyness melted away, replaced by a confident glow whenever Jungkook was by her side. Jungkook, in turn, found in Vine a partner who complemented him in every way. As the years passed, their love deepened. They faced challenges together, celebrated victories, and created a life that was uniquely theirs. The echoes of their past, the pain of loss and betrayal, were gradually replaced by the harmonious melody of a love that had stood the test of time. Time skips after so many years. You and Jungkook sitting in the balcony enjoying tea together. Jungkook smiling. Today it's been 50 years to our wedding. Vine smiling. Yeah, and I'm really blessed to have you in my life. And I don't know how and when this time passed. I mean, it feels like we just married yesterday. Jungkook smirking. Yeah, that's right. He put his cup of tea down on the table and wrapped you in his arms in the cold winter morning. Vine surprised. Yeah, Jungkook, what are you doing? You still act like we are newlywed. Jungkook smiling and teasing. Yeah, you said that it feels like we just married yesterday, so according to that, we are newlywed couple, sweetheart. You chuckled when he pecked your forehead, eyes, lips, and cheeks. Vine surprised. Yeah, Jungkook, control. What are you doing? Now we are old and still your romance doesn't end. And what if our children and grandchildren see us? Jungkook smirking. Then they will think that their grandparents are so romantic and loving. That's it. You pushed him lightly. Vine. Whatever. You are so naughty. Have some shame. Jungkook frowned his eyebrows. Why? And what shame? I am kissing my wife, not the neighbor's wife. So what is the shame in this, huh? You looked at him with disgusting face. Jungkook. And when we were young, you used to told me, what if our parents see us? And now when we are old, you are saying, what if our grandchildren see us? The thing is, you don't love me. He pouted cutely, crossed his arms, and turned his face in another direction. You chuckled and cupped his face and made him turn his face in your direction and kissed him on his lips, while he was shocked with your sudden action and then kissed you back. While on the other hand, your two grandkids were hiding behind and looked at you both secretly and giggling. Grandkid 1. See what they are doing. Grandkid 2. I also want a relation like them. They both love each other so much even after so many years of wedding. Grandkid 1 smiling. I guess it's not about time. Time doesn't matter in love. It's just they always prioritize each other in each phase of life and didn't let time to affect their relationship. Grandkid 2. I also want a boy like grandpa who will love me unconditionally, and our love will also increase with each passing day, and when we will be old, just like them, we will also be sitting in the balcony and enjoying the view while cuddling. Grandkid 2 teasing. To get a boy like grandpa, you need to be like grandma. She is so supportive and loving and caring. I want a girl like her who will understand me and love me. They both chuckled. While you broke the kiss and looked at each other, Jungkook to Vine. Yeah, what was that? You are also romantic, Vine, huh? You were blushing and turned your face to other direction as your cheeks turned red. Jungkook smiling. You have still not changed, darling. Too much shy, just like before. Vine. You have also not changed. You also tease me so much. Jungkook chuckled and hugged you. Jungkook. I don't want to change, Vine. I want to love you always, like this as I do. And thank you for coming into my life again. He said the last word in a very low voice, making sure you didn't hear it. Jungkook's POV. From the moment our eyes met, I felt a surge of recognition that surpassed the boundaries of this existence. I carried the weight of our tragic past, remembering every detail of Vine's loss, as in this life also I remember each and everything about my past life and her death. The echoes of our shared history resonated in my heart, and meeting her again felt like a second chance at redemption. Throughout the years, I cherished every moment with Vine, knowing that our connection ran deeper than mere coincidence. I remembered the pain we endured in our past life, and I was determined to make this life different. Today, as we sit hand in hand, I am grateful that our journey, marked by the shadows of our shared past, has led us to a place profound understanding and enduring love. I have carried the knowledge of our past life with me, and it guided our love story. In every smile, every shared laugh, I found solace. Our journey has been a testament to the resilience of love, transcending you time gave her and death space. Flares. Now, as we bask in the warmth of our shared memories, I am at peace, free from the burden of regret that once haunted me. Appreciate the present moment and the people you love. Life is unpredictable, so make the most of every opportunity to strengthen your connections. I hope you like this series and tell me in the comments. And guys, when I wrote this series, I decided a sad ending, but on your request, I added a bonus part for happy ending. So I don't know how this part is. Please tell me in the comments how was it. Subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.